good evening. Is that Jack?
Yes.
This is Jason Curtis calling from Cape Town, South Africa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I have to apologize. We were due to do an interview earlier today, and I completely bollocksed it. I was working on Detroit time. Apologies, but good to speak to you.
Hey, it's good. Nice to talk to you too.
This is probably your 455th interview this week, so...
No, not really. I don't really do very many interviews, so...
Yes, that's why I think I've been chasing this on for about a year, so I'm indebted. Congratulations. I mean, phenomenal. I think certainly the last 2 years have been a bit of a roller coaster, haven't they?
I suppose they have been.
But it's a space that you seem awkwardly sort of. I mean, obviously you're enjoying the space, but are you comfortable with people telling you, how the difference that you've made in their lives and how much they like you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of all glory is fleeting is a good, motto to live by, really. I mean, it's just take it for what it is at the moment. I mean, sometimes when you look back on things in the future, you see if things are really meant something to people or if they didn't, We'll see. I guess I can't really count my chickens, right now.
I mean, because you do what you do, and I mean, you look to people. Is there anyone in particular that you would look to that you could gauge what you were doing was actually of any consequence, or that it was as good as you perceived it to be good?
I remember there was a time when we were making our first record or second record or something, and I just there was sort of a small goal. I wanted to make as many records as the Gories, or I wanted to sell as many records as the Gories did, a Detroit band from the early 90s. And that happened at some point, maybe like in 1998 or something.
Okay.
And after that, I think I didn't really have any other goals, I mean, after the Gories, it's like, I don't know, would you jump to Michael Jackson or something like that?
Yeah, and I can't see you doing that.
Neither can I. I can't see what we're doing now at all.
Yeah, I mean,
and I couldn't at the time see us selling as many as the Gories, because that was a big band to me and Meg.
Yeah.
That was a big deal, and we didn't think at all that people would buy our records at all.
I mean, when you think about it, I mean, you listen to the records, and I mean, obviously you like them, and they work. But for a place like the UK to pick up on you the way that they did, and I mean, they're known to embrace, the underdog, which at that point you probably, comparative to to anything that was in the top 10, you were the underdog, and then for it to translate all the way back.
The funny thing is that we, for England, it's sometimes quick to embrace and really quick to throw away. So that was a thing that's for going on, two and a half years now or something. They're so interested in rock and roll bands. That's very strange, from what I've been told, But yeah, that's very, very odd. And then for it to translate over to America in another sense too. I guess you're right.
Because then it was then it was okay, because obviously if the Americans didn't get it, then there was something wrong with them. So it's just like
often happens. Often happens.
Yeah, I think it happens in Canada too, actually. But as I said, that in some respects, an exciting place for you to be, I'm sure, because you can pretty much, I'm sure you have access, I suppose is the right word, to to more than you've ever had before, because of the place that you now hold. I mean, how do you tackle that? I mean, do you look at it and go, well, I could just carry on as before, or I could enjoy the moment.
I think it's when sort of a feeling that when you're hungry and someone brings you some food and you start eating. If they brought 15 more plates of food on the table, you say, oh wow, yeah, it's great that you did that, but I'm full now. I mean, you can only do at the time one thing at a time, I guess. I suppose in one sense that there's the ability that we could do whatever we want, but when I look back, when we made our first album, we could do whatever we wanted at that point too. I mean, we were really successful at that point, even though no one had heard of us and known of us. We were at least able to do whatever we wanted to do, and that's always been the case with us. So I can't really see a creative change there.
Sure, because I mean, and I think for the most part, what you do, as a band is unique in its own right. Because I can't see anybody else, nobody can be Jack White besides you. So, thank God. As I say, from that point of view, I mean, when you land up at a place like Melbourne and you're playing to crowds there, and you're thinking they get it in just the same way as they do in Detroit or as they do in London. I mean, that must be quite comforting in a way, because you're crossing so many barriers without doing it with any kind of agenda.
It is nice. It is appealing. It's very strange, but it is appealing.
Mm-hmm. But now, I mean, do you feel the pressure that there are all these eyes and ears now listening, to what you're doing and thinking, well, okay.
I don't think so. I think probably a good example of that is Elephant.
Yes,
because that was made under the same conditions, and we didn't, think about it either at the time. I think the same thing would happen if we started making the next album tomorrow. I don't think it would be. Meg and I are very good at, focusing on what we're supposed to do at the time, and not thinking about it. And it can become a hindrance too, because when we play live on stage, I'm totally oblivious to really how the crowd is in the back, or that everyone paid money to see this show, or that how long we've been on stage playing. I can't think of all this. I'm really not very good at that. I'm good at catching a vibe from people or whatever. So the vibe from when we were making Elephant was okay. Keep going, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it and go, well, how long is a piece of string? It's a case of, you could probably successfully do this the rest of your life quite easily, I think, at this rate, because I think also with the music as well, it's not grounded to any particular time. I mean, I think it feeds off of so many different places, between Meg and your personality collectively, it is a very unique, I suppose, yet very familiar sound.
I suppose so. I mean, it's familiar to me. I don't know. It's one of those things. You sometimes think that there were only two people. We do as much as two people can possibly do in this field or whatever, music or something, and then pretty soon you run out of options. Because there's not. This isn't the Beatles or something. So
yes.
Can you keep going? The Beatles couldn't keep going.
No, exactly. But then there were four, you see. So I think.
Right.
And then there were three, and then there were So I mean, I'm sure that must make things a lot easier too, because you can only really disagree with one another and not sort of 15 other people.
That's always been the best part of the band. I mean, you can never have a fight in this band, really.
Yeah.
So you can't take sides.
Well, you're screwed because
it's one.
Well, if one walks, then you're packed, aren't you?
That's right.
So I mean, there's obviously that respect. I mean, your relationship, I'm sure, within the band must have been tested on more than one occasion, because it's I think difficult living with anyone 24/7. Never mind in a band.
So, I don't know what the reason is, but everything's always been pretty much peachy clean. It's been so confined in the band. We've limited ourselves so much that there's not many options to what's going to happen. So there's not really much room for deciding a lot of the time. I think the thing we set up our own rules a long time ago to live by, and there's not many choices after that. So there's not really that much room for disagreement.
And I mean, as people, I mean, does Meg say to you, you've changed, or that, did you see a change in her just with, being influenced by the world now rather than, say, your own backyard, and going to all of these places and feeding off of, what you're given?
I don't really notice any change, no. It seems the same to me.
And I mean, musically too, clearly, because I mean, I'm sure you get, as you say, you feed off of a crowd, you feed off of a vibe, but that vibe could be anywhere.
I think I don't really know. I don't really know. It's just, I honestly feel to me the same as it's always felt. There was never a point where all of a sudden, because there was, 2,000 more people at the show than there was before, or we sold that many more records or anything, that anything changed as far as we created music, I guess.
And I mean, you certainly don't have any problem writing songs, because I think you're writing them as fast, if not faster, than any other band I know of. I mean, I think the only other person second to you is probably Prince, and and he's written more than he's released. So. I mean, is that an easy process for you?
It's something that I could never. This is another problem I have. I don't really. It's hard for me to tell when these songs got written. I don't remember. They just sort of, all of a sudden, they're kind of there. I don't really know. I don't take time like, okay, today at 2 o'clock I'm going to sit down and write or anything like that. For some reason, they're just kind of there, almost to the point where there can't be a song. I don't remember sitting down and writing that. That kind of thing. It's not some magical thing or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm not very good at remembering when something began. I'm really good at knowing when to stop. When enough is enough, but I don't know when it comes together. I wish I did. I wish I had, would date pages and remember days when things happen, but it's very hard for me.
But maybe if you did that, then it would all go pear-shaped. So, as you say, maybe that's the art, you see.
I guess so.
But I mean, at what point is enough? I mean, when do you know that you need to walk away?
I think I've kind of seen that there'll be some point where we'll sort of just know that it's not relevant to us anymore. It's not relevant to what's happening. We've walk a really fine line with the band. There's no reinvention of ourselves. There's no constantly reinventing our image or whatever it's perceived. It's always living in that same box from day one that we started. And looking at old footage of us in 97 or records from us in 97, the box that we're living in is really pretty much exactly the same as it was then. I couldn't afford to have a Fender Rhodes piano on stage back then, and I have one. So I mean, there's those
you see,
but most of all, it's the same thing. The same guitars I had then I have now. I haven't bought any new guitars. And I guess that's the thing about it. I guess we'll just know when But what I was going to say was that it doesn't. There's a line sometimes when you're doing something like. I don't know. I guess if you're playing sports or something, at some point you could say, "Oh, this is just a kid's game, and I've been doing this forever, and I am a man now." Maybe we rely so much on childish notions in the band that one day I'm going to say that maybe I'm a man now in that sense. That doesn't relate to me. I don't relate to it anymore. But I'm not sure about that really.
Yeah, and I mean, because you also are spending a lot of time and have done as well, working with other people. I mean, I read a couple of weeks ago you're going to be producing, the name escapes me at the moment, but
Loretta Lynn.
Yes. I mean, that must be an absolute treat for you.
It's a complete joy. Yeah, we finished that about a month ago.
Okay.
Should be coming out in a few months. It's amazing songs she's has written. It was really, really incredible to work with her.
I mean, because that must be a place for you just to, be like a sponge and just take all of that in, I'm sure.
Very much so. I mean, we had dedicated White Blood Cells to her.
That's right. And you called her up.
Be able to produce her album to get to that point where that was allowed. It's very funny.
Yeah, they look at you and they go, "Okay, you're good enough now," because it all translates, and it's all about numbers, isn't it? As I say, people will only talk to you because of certain things, and it's just strange because you, as you were saying earlier, you're exactly the same person you were when you started, but yet, it didn't matter. Nobody cared then, but now somehow
it's like applying for a job, and we have somebody with experience, and you don't have have any experience? How do I get experience if you won't hire me? That kind of.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah.
So as I say, you're in Melbourne now. From here, where to?
Well, we have a few more shows in Australia, and then we're playing, doing a tour in Japan, and then
back home again.
A show in Brazil.
Ah, okay.
And
South Africa's en route. You could always just pop in for a beer.
we wanted to go. Actually, there was a point where I think it was the big day out.
That's right.
There was a talk of
That's right.
South Africa, which we wanted to do because we had always wanted to play all 7 continents before the band was over. But now we'll get South America out of the way in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so well then we'll hold you to that. I think that.
We definitely want to go.
Yeah.
I see that actually happening in the near future.
Because it must be an interesting one for you to have an album that obviously isn't selling the same sort of quantities as you would in the UK or even in the States. But as I say, it's interesting. White Blood Cells now is taking over and doing very, very nicely with Elephant, and it's because of Elephant that's now happened.
So South Africa.
Yeah. So which is so when you get those royalty checks coming through and it says sort of Cape Town or it says Johannesburg, you go, oh God, okay. You can buy yourself a sandwich with it. But as I said, you've been pushing out. Certainly the last 4 records have come out quite quickly. Is there going to be a record in the new year at this rate?
Yeah, we were going to start recording one, but before I had my accident.
Yes,
That's pushed everything back, and we're going to be touring to the end of the year, so we won't go to record until next year.
Mm-hmm. And from everything, is performing as much fun to you as sitting behind the desk?
No, I like recording a lot better, even though it happens really quickly. I like that a lot more. Performing is very difficult for me because I don't. It's just a difficult job. We don't really have any safety nets in the band.
Sure, you don't
set list. Yeah. There's no set list, and there's no other musicians to fall back on, and it's something I won't just do and just stand still. And it becomes an intense performance every night, and it's hard to do it every night. So on tour, a week to me is like 2 months, and it's very hard. So I do prefer just writing and recording more than that.
And then obviously this is your life, this is your career. But when you're not there, and is it important for you to sort of cut ties with your career in the sense that you can go to a place and just recharge, or do you sort of find that you can just feed off of everything that is happening to you?
It's been very difficult in the last couple of years to take a break from the band. It's almost impossible because every day we've put so much of the control of what happens with the band is still with me and Meg. Even though we have a manager, it's sort of set up that all the decisions have to go through us. So
that's why it
every
works.
day is pretty much just me saying no all day long.
Well, look, I'm saying thank you because you clearly said yes to me. So no,
sure.
Thank you. I'm gonna let you go. Give you 5 minutes to yourself. But no, thank you very much, Jack. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
It's
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.